How's it going, everyone? Welcome back. Joe Burrow, definitely the centerpiece of this Cincinnati Bengals team. In 2 years, he has taken over and turned around this Cincinnati Bengals franchise, takes him to the Super Bowl in his first full year as a quarterback, second year in the league. And you have to wonder what we're going to see out of Joe Burrow in what a lot will consider his quote-unquote sophomore season. There wasn't a lot of tape on him in year one, besides the fact that he was on the ground like every other play when he dropped back because they couldn't protect him. Other than that, there wasn't much on him. Now, you make it to the Super Bowl. You beat the Chiefs twice. You beat some of the best teams in the AFC. They are going to dissect that tape and find ways to slow him down. And that is why we see the quote-unquote sophomore slumps in quarterbacks, because there's that adjustment phase and they counter back. I think, again, I don't think we see a big sophomore slump out of Joe Burrow. I really don't. He's a student of the game. He's one of those guys. Like, there's always so much you can do. And when you start giving him time to throw the football, he's going to tear teams apart more than he already does. And that's what we're going to see this year, because they have the revamped offensive line. They brought guys in free agency. And you got your younger guys that are going to be a year older that you drafted that are going to piece in here as well. And I think you're going to see a substantial improvement from the offensive line. That's going to do wonders. I know it's, it's from a non-Bengals fan standpoint that it might be watching like a Tom Brady or something. It's like, oh, well, it's not that big of a deal. It kind of is. Brady was sacked 25 times last season. Burrow was sacked 51. If you look at the elite quarterbacks in the league, Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, you want to throw Josh Allen and Herbert in there? Don't tell people about the Herbert Burrow conversation, but, we'll throw them in there. Those 5 quarterbacks last season combined for a 2-6 record when they were sacked 4+ times in a game. All those quarterbacks sacked 8 times all season, 4+ times combined. Joe Burrow won 3 football games last season alone when he was sacked 4+ times. It just goes to show it's tough for anybody. No matter how good the quarterback is, you knock that quarterback down, like give him no time to throw the football. That's how you beat these guys. And that's why the front fours that don't have to throw in a blitzer that can get to the quarterback and get home. You see those defenses turn out to be such elite defenses in the league. But to think you could see that number go down substantially for Burrow this season, where he might have maybe 2, 3, 4 games sacked 4+ times instead of 9 games or 8 games or whatever, that's going to be a big difference maker. You give this guy time to throw the football when you have guys like Jamar Chase that can beat you deep. You got T. Higgins, you got Tyler Boyd beat you in the slot. And that's the thing. Yeah, sure, you're going to put the top on things now if your defense against the Bengals. You're not going to let Jamar Chase beat you deep. You're going to try to play a little bit more, give him a little more cushion, be a little more conservative, double cover him. That's great. Do that. You still have to deal with an elite wide receiver in the slot and Tyler Boyd. You have a really good T. Higgins that could be a number 1 for a lot of teams in this league. And it's a really, really tough wide receiver corps to stop. And the Bengals, as long as they can hold these guys under contract, which it might be 2 years, it might be 3, it might not be, it might be 6. It's likely not. But as long as they have that kind of wide receiver corps, it's going to be a complete nightmare for any team in the league. And I think for that reason, you see Joe Burrow's numbers go up substantially this season. Not to mention, you look at some of the teams the Bengals play this season. You're going to have the Chiefs again. You have Baltimore again a couple times. Last season, Burrow threw for 900 yards against the Ravens. Threw for 700 yards against the Chiefs. They're going to play Buffalo. They're going to play Tampa Bay. 2 teams. Again, you expect games against those teams to be shootouts. Now, yes, Buffalo's got good defense. They were also susceptible to giving up points and air yards to good quarterbacks last season. And I think, again, you see 2 high-powered offenses going at it. Or we see high-scoring games. When you see them high-scoring games, you know where the yardage going. Joe Burrow throwing it through the air. It's going to help his stats out substantially, of course, there. Still last season, he threw for 4,600 yards. Again, no time to throw the football. We've seen conservative play calling sporadically throughout the year. Now, at the beginning of the year, it was conservative because Burrow was still recovering from that ACL. You see he wasn't mobile. They kind of kept him in a pocket. He didn't have anywhere to go because they just didn't want to take that chance. He didn't want to take that chance of re-injuring that. Who am I kidding? Joe Burrow probably didn't care. They was probably all over him. The guy's an absolute baller out there. You don't care. He'll put his body on the line every single snap, and that's a problem. Honestly, that's what that's what you hear about like guys like Carson Wentz. Is you love to see it. You love to see that kind of fighting a guy, but as a quarterback that you want to keep on your team for the next 15, 20 years, you want to see him try to minimize them hits if he's able to. But that was something that made Joe Burrow great at LSU. It made him great later in this season. You see guys like Aaron Rodgers that are really good at that, buying extra time and then beating teams deep, buying that extra time. It's a weapon, and it's a weapon we're going to see more of out of Burrow this season that we didn't see for the first 3, 4, 5 games last season. And I just think, again, because back of your mind, Coach Taylor did what he's supposed to do. It's the right thing. It hurts to watch as a fan. It hurts if you're a quarterback or an offense seeing it. But there was times where he got conservative because Joe Burrow was getting just pummeled behind that line of scrimmage. And you got to do what's best for the safety of your quarterback. And that's cases like the Steelers. Like, hey, why play the Steelers and throw the ball 45 times and get rocked by TJ Watt and Hayward and company when Joe Mixon's running all over him? And that was what we seen last season. And we could see that again this season, but I still think, I don't think it matters how good Joe Mixon is when you have an elite quarterback. I think his carries go down a little bit. I think we see him hover more around the 15-16 range rather than trying to get him 18 to 20. I just typically what you see out of, franchise quarterbacks when they have time to throw the football. Still, again, Mixon's absolute stud. We'll see though. Personally, I think that's where we go. I think we see the Bengals pass attempts go up. And I think that matters a lot because it's obviously not realistic. But if you look at the numbers last season, Burrow threw the ball nearly 200 times less than Brady. Brady threw it 719 times. I like bringing up Brady because he led the league in passing yards. Like, oh, Brady led the league in passing yards. But you got to dig a little deeper and realize, well, he threw the football 50 times more than anybody else. And when you go from a yards per attempt standpoint, Joe Burrow averaged 8.9 yards per attempt, which is miles ahead of any other quarterback in the league this season. If you would take Joe Burrow's 8.9 yards attempt and put that into 719 pass attempts that Brady had, you get 6,400 yards out of Joe Burrow last season. Not realistic. I really don't believe that's a realistic number to look at. I'm just saying if you were to, plug and play how much it does matter how many times you threw the football from a yardage standpoint. I think we could see, though, Joe Burrow getting an 8.2, 8.3 range kind of passing yards per attempt this season. And I still think that gives him a substantial increase in yards. I think we see what we're seeing out of most elite quarterbacks, at least, they're around that about 625 to about 650 range from a pass attempt standpoint last season. Again, Burrow was low 500s. So you're going to expect that to go up around that range, I think, if you're the Bengals and you have a quarterback like Burrow. So when you factor something in like that, say, I think Burrow gets around 640 on the pass attempts this season. You say 8.2, 8.3 yards per attempt. I think we see Burrow right around 5,312 yards on the season. As far as interceptions go, Burrow did throw kind of high amount last year. A little up there. A little above average, if you will. But I don't like looking at the interception total. I really don't without context. Now, if you're a bad quarterback and you're making a lot of bad throws, that's a lot. But the reason I never liked the Rodgers-Burrow comparison from an interception standpoint last season, from an MVP standpoint, and I had a big, weight in there, is just the pure fact that, first of all, Rodgers, you got to give him every bit of credit. He is, at this point in time right now, the best quarterback in the league as far as protecting the football and preventing turnovers. But you got to look a little deeper than that and say, hey, it's 3rd and 10, and Burrow wants to sling that rock 50 yards down the field because there's nothing else open. And he's going to take that chance knowing there's a chance it gets intercepted. But he says, why not give my guy a chance to catch it? It's no different than a punt. And you get numbers like that, 2, 3 of those, 4 of those a year. Or you throw in the passes your receivers drop, or they deflect off their hands. They should have caught. Bengals had some of them. You look at situations like that and say, well, if you get rid of 7 or 8 of those, and you're like, oh, he's down to 6, 7, 8 interceptions on the year. That's a solid number. But nonetheless, I do think with protection this season and more time to the football, Burrow doesn't feel like he's forced to, force things into certain situations because, again, he's getting hit. He has to do something to try to make a play. I think there's going to be more time, and he's got more of a chance to go through his progressions. I feel like he doesn't need to force a play because there's going to be another down where he's going to have time to the football. I think that makes a big difference. I think we see Joe Burrow with about 8 interceptions this season. I think he ends the season with about 42 interceptions. So 53-12, 8 INTs, 42 tutties. Joe Burrow this season. Love you guys' thoughts. That would be ours. 2022-2023 Bengals Burrow predictions. Thank you guys for watching. We'll see you next time.